I look back on my life as if it were a series of photographs, each a decision etched in time. I was known as Mace, a leader in a world where respect came at the end of a barrel. The path I chose led me here, to Crossroads Penitentiary, where I now wear my mistakes like scars. These walls don't just confine, they force you to confront demons you'd rather ignore. As I sit in my cell, I think of the younger inmates, filled with reckless ambition and blind loyalty, just like I once was. I find purpose in mentoring them, sharing hard-earned lessons they might not understand yet. With each conversation, I see flickers of potential in their eyes, a chance to break the cycle. If I can guide just one of them away from the darkness I once embraced, maybe my past won't be in vain. The journey of redemption is where I begin to rebuild, step by step. Elena Ruiz sits on the edge of her cot, the faint scratch of pen on paper echoing in the stillness of her cell. Each letter she writes to her children feels like a lifeline, a connection to the world she left behind, and a reminder of the mother she longs to be. She recalls the moment she chose drugs over her family, the desperation that clouded her judgment. With every word she pours onto the page, Elena wrestles with the consequences of her past, the guilt of missing first days of school and birthdays. Yet hope flickers in her heart as she describes their lives, wrapping her love in stories and drawing strength from their laughter. The pain of separation is palpable, but with each letter she rekindles a bond that incarceration cannot break. As she seals the envelope, she vows to break the cycle for their sake, determined to rise anew from these shadows. Samuel Sam Johnson sits in the quiet corner of his cell, surrounded by the muted sounds of the penitentiary. With a pen in hand and a worn notebook resting on his lap, he finds solace in the rhythm of words. Each line he writes becomes a bridge between the man he was and the soul he longs to understand. In the depths of memory, he revisits the crime of passion that brought him here, a moment of rage that shattered lives and left him grappling with the aftermath. The loneliness is palpable. He recalls the laughter of friends, the warmth of family dinners now turned to echoes in his mind. Yet, within this isolation lies a flicker of hope, manifesting in poetry that sings of regret, longing, and fleeting glimpses of peace. With each verse, Sam carves out a space for healing, reminding himself that even behind bars, the heart can still find a way to soar. Leah's heart raced as she recalled the thrill of her early hacking days, the adrenaline pumping through her veins like a drug. The digital world felt limitless, a playground where she could bend the rules and test the boundaries of society's expectations. Now, behind bars, the stark contrast of her current reality struck her. She was just a cog in a machine, stripped of agency. Yet in those quiet moments, she found herself questioning the ethics of her past. Was breaking through firewalls really that different from the crime she currently served time for? Conversations with fellow inmates revealed how technology had transformed crime, bringing new dynamics and challenges. They laughed over shared stories of online mischief, yet each chuckle carried a weight of somber acknowledgement. Wrapped in this digital paradox, Leah began to imagine a future where her skills could rebuild rather than destroy, igniting a flicker of hope in her confined world. I never thought I'd find myself in a place like this. My name is Jamal J. Carter, and I'm here for a crime I didn't commit, a conviction that stripped me of not just my freedom, but my faith in the system. Every morning, I wake to the sound of metal clanging, a stark reminder of my reality, yet each echo pushes me to fight harder for justice. I've spent countless nights poring over case files, determined to uncover the truth hidden beneath layers of paperwork and doubt. It's not just my innocence at stake, it's a matter of principle. In here, I've connected with others who share similar tales of despair, each of us bound by the threads of wrongful accusations. Together, we find solace, forming a network of hope. Despite the weight of these walls, I refuse to let them cage my spirit. I will prove that justice can prevail, even from behind bars. Mace leaned against the cool concrete wall of his cell, the distant clang of doors echoing through his mind. Trust is something that gets built slowly, he thought, much like constructing a house with shaky foundations. The younger inmates often arrived with hardened exterior shells, forged by life outside with all its betrayals. He recalled the first time he confronted a young man who stormed into the yard, ready to prove himself. Instead of fighting, Mace had invited him to sit, to talk, and share stories. As weeks turned into months, trust began to form, a fragile bond strengthened by laughter and shared struggles. Mace found solace in mentoring them, guiding their choices, and inspiring them to rise above their pasts. In those moments, he recognized the power of connection, the quiet strength derived from understanding and support. The echoes of their conversations now filled the air, a testament to resilience against the shadows of their former lives. Elena clutched her pencil tightly, the paper before her filled with the words she struggled to express. Today, she couldn't shake the thought of her children, how their laughter once filled her small apartment, now replaced with echoes of silence. Each letter she wrote felt like a lifeline, a bridge between her world and theirs. As she penned messages of love and encouragement, a profound ache settled in her chest. She feared the cycle of addiction and incarceration would ensnare them, just as it had her. With every stroke of her pen, Elena contemplated what it meant to be a mother from behind bars. She wrote of dreams, of returning home, of watching her kids grow, and of being the parent they deserve. The pain was heavy, but within it flickered a spark of hope, a promise to them that she would fight tirelessly to break free, to rewrite their story together. As the days blend into one another, void of the sun's warming touch, I find myself wrapped in a shroud of loneliness that echoes through the cold cell walls. Memories of laughter and warmth from the outside world haunt me, reminding me of the life I once knew, one filled with love, companionship, and the simple joys of everyday existence. In here, the realization hits hard that isolation can be just as punitive as any sentence served. Yet within this solitude, I discover solace in the bonds forged with fellow inmates. We share stories, our voices rising and falling like a distant symphony, echoing against the concrete. Each narrative unfolds layers of pain, hope, and resilience. These connections may be born from similar misfortunes, yet they remind me that humanity thrives in unexpected places, reigniting my will to find peace amid the shadows. Here, in this forgotten corner of the world, companionship blooms like a fragile flower against all odds. As I sit in the dim light of my cell, the stark reality of my life as a hacker unfolds in my mind. My life outside revolved around screens, codes, and the thrill of cracking defenses. But now, surrounded by the incessant echo of the prison yard, I grapple with the ethical price of my past. I was once celebrated in the shadows of the digital world, seen as a prodigy, but all it took was one misstep to land me in this concrete cage. In here, every keystroke and pixel feels like a ghost of my former self, haunting yet familiar. I often wonder how society distinguishes between crime in the tangible world and that lurking behind a screen. The judgments are harsher, the penalties more severe, and yet the motivations remain the same: desperation, greed, and sometimes a misguided sense of power. I've come to realize that the digital divide isn't just geographical. It's a chasm of understanding that society must bridge if we're ever to address the complexities of modern crime. Jamal paced the small confines of his cell, the words of his fellow inmates echoing in his mind. As he settled onto his cot, thoughts swirled around the bonds he had formed with others wrongfully convicted. They shared stories of harrowing trials and fragmented lives, each tale deepening their connection. Together, they found solace and strength in shared experiences, crafting a fragile web of support that countered the isolation of prison life. In hushed tones, they exchanged ideas and strategies, brainstorming ways to appeal their cases while ensuring that no voice went unheard. With every discussion, Jamal felt a renewed sense of purpose. He was no longer just a victim of circumstance, but part of a movement. This collective commitment, not just to reclaim their freedom, but to advocate for systemic change, became his guiding light. It was a testament to resilience, illustrating their shared belief that justice, though slow to arrive, could eventually triumph when forged in unity. As I sit in my cell, I can't help but think about how far I've come and the journey I still face. Redemption doesn't come easy. It requires daily effort, a commitment to change that ripples through every interaction I have with the younger inmates. I often share my story, the choices I made that brought me to crossroads, hoping to illuminate the shadows that cloud their visions. I remember being their age, full of potential but lost in the allure of a gang lifestyle. Now, I'm the one menacing youths look up to, not out of fear, but as a beacon of what transformation can look like. It's in those moments of mentoring that I feel a shift within myself. Each time I guide a young man away from the paths I once walked, I gather pieces of my own fractured soul, forging them into something whole again. It's more than redemption. It's creating my legacy. Elena Ruiz sits in her small cell, the weight of her decisions pressing down like the heavy steel bars that confine her. Though the walls are painted a dull gray, her thoughts flicker with color as she writes another letter to her children. Each word feels like a lifeline, a fragment of hope woven into the fabric of her days. She reflects on the bright moments before her arrest, the warmth of laughter shared over dinner, and the dreams she once nurtured for their future. The reality of separation cuts deep, but she clings to the belief that resilience can reshape their lives. "I'm so much more than this place," she writes, infusing her words with determination. While darkness seeps into the corners of her thoughts, she chooses to shine a light on the possibilities that await them all. With every sentence, she knows she is planting seeds of hope, hoping they will one day bloom. The flickering fluorescent light cast a pale glow on Sam's cell, illuminating the pages that were both his sanctuary and his voice. As he stared at the scribbled words before him, the weight of his past felt a little lighter. Poetry had become his lifeline, a bridge connecting the man he was to the man he might have been. Each verse captured the echoes of remorse that haunted him, the regret of love lost and dreams extinguished. He shared his latest piece with the other inmates during their rare moments of camaraderie, their shared silence enveloping the room like a warm embrace. "In these walls we may be confined," he recited softly, "but our words set us free." As the verses resonated with the audience, Sam felt a flicker of hope, a reminder that even within these bars, they could transform their pain into art, crafting new identities from the ashes of their pasts.